Hello and welcome to our next video about starting economics, and this one is called economic cycles. So what are economic cycles? The key idea is that business conditions do not remain the same from year to year. So what do we mean by business conditions? They are the environment in which a business operates. All countries experience ups and downs in the growth of output, jobs, income, and spending. Why? Economists don't have a satisfactory answer to this. Some industries like agriculture have big changes of the level of production, the size of the harvest from year to year. This in turn can change the farmer's spending. They spend a lot in good years and very little in bad years. There are a lot of descriptions about how an economics cycle works, a life cycle, but not much about why. We also know some of the things that can cause a recession. The most frequent cause is a sharp reduction in the amount of money around. Normally, this happens when a bank goes out of business and people who deposited money with the bank don't get it back. Another cause is if the country has borrowed money from other countries and those other countries want their loan to be paid back. Sometimes people just think that there will be a problem soon, so problems start to happen because they believe they will. Another key feature about economic ups and downs is that most sectors of the economy tend to move together. So we can presume there are general factors driving the economy. Specific factors will influence specific industries, but these do not cause the recession as a whole to go up or down. So booms, busts, and indicators. So let's look at what an up period, a boom, B-O-O-M, and what a down period, a slowdown or a recession or a bust, B-U-S-D, looks like. And then at ways economists try to work out where in the cycle they are. Some years are much better than others for businesses and employees. This is not one good year followed by one bad year. Usually there are a number of good years followed by a number of bad years. For anyone in business, this is critical information to know. Why? Because you have to plan a strategy to make sure your business can survive a number of bad years in a row. Remember Saw Joseph in the Bible. When he was in Egypt, he interpreted the king's dream to mean there would be 7 good years followed by 7 bad years. So he made sure that they saved food from the good years to help them in the bad years. He was lucky. He knew exactly when things would change. In most cases, we don't know when they will change, but we do know that they will change. And the answer's always the same. You need a plan. Just like Joseph, the key part of the plan is always the same. Save some of the profits from the good years to help in the bad years. But in the good years, there are a lot of temptations to ignore that strategy. So here's an example. You are making good money from your farm. If you had a bigger farm, you would make more. Your neighbor is sick and can't manage his big farm, so he offers to sell you 2 fields. If you accept his offer, it will cost you all your savings, plus you'll need to borrow from the bank. There goes your saving strategy. But if the good years continue, you will make more money every year and you can quickly repay the bank and catch up on your savings. The critical thing is, how long will the good years last? If the bad years don't come for 3 years, there will be time to make some savings. But if the bad years come sooner, you won't have enough to get through them. So knowing where the economy is in the economic cycle right now is also critical. But it's not that simple. The bad times are called recessions, pronounced recession. The gap between recessions are not always the same. For example, in Britain, the recession of 1973 was followed quickly by the one in 1975. In contrast, there was a gap of 17 years between the one in 1990 or 1991 and the one in 2008. Since 1955, Britain has had 8 recessions. On average, they have a recession once every 7 or 8 years. They had one in 2008-9 and then another one in 2020-21 caused by COVID. So right now we're in the recovery phase from the COVID downturn. Things are improving, but we're not really back to the good times yet. And now we have the major changes to international trading arrangements that President Trump is causing. Many economists with good reputations and in important jobs are predicting that these will cause a worldwide recession. So it looks like we are leaving the recovery phase from the COVID downturn and heading in a new direction. This shows us how the actions of governments, especially governments of major countries, can influence economic cycles. If Donald Trump had lost the 2024 election in the USA, we would probably still be in the COVID recovery phase. And notice how the governments of major players like China, European countries, and Southeast Asian countries cannot stop it happening. Their country will go into recession even if they do everything they know to stop it. Okay, enough about recessions. What about boom? A boom occurs when output is rising at a rate faster than average. Some of the characteristics of a boom include a fast growth of consumption, helped by rising real incomes, strong confidence, and a big rise in house prices and share prices. Demand for machines, as businesses invest in new projects to meet strong demand and to make higher profits. More jobs created and falling unemployment and higher real wages. That is, wages are going up faster than inflation. Government income tax will be rising as people earn more and companies make larger profits. And this gives the government money to increase spending in areas such as education and the environment, health, and transport. Okay, a slowdown. A slowdown is when the rate of growth slows, even if the output is still rising. So for example, in 2024, growth is 5%. In 2025, it is 2.5%. It's still growing, but it feels like a slowdown because growth is lower than last year. Recession, we still already looked at a little bit, means a fall in the level of output, a period when growth is negative, leading to contraction in employment and incomes and profits. They are all down. In the Bible, Saul Joseph had the benefit of the king's dream to tell him when the change from good years to bad years would happen. Economists and government departments have come up with a number of different indicators to show where we might be in the cycle. Every month they check business confidence. That is, how happy or unhappy owners are about how their business is going. Also, purchasing manager intentions. This is whether the people in charge of buying are planning to buy more or less than last month. And also investment decisions. Are businesses planning to get bigger or not? None of these indicators are very good at predicting the start of slowdowns. Often these happen very suddenly, like falling off a mountain. and they take everyone by surprise, even the regulators who are supposed to take care of the system. Economic downturns are very dangerous. Normally, a lot of businesses don't survive them. And this creates opportunities for those who do, because they have less competition in the future. One of the reasons that many businesses are run by older people is that they will have seen one or two economic downturns since they started working. So, for example, in Britain, there was no downturn between 1991 and 2008. The 2008 one was very bad. So there were graduates in big businesses like banks and insurance companies, importers, exporters, large factories, and so on, who had graduated age 24 in 1992, and by 2008 they were in managerial positions. They were over 40 years old and had 16 years of business experience, but they'd never seen an economic downturn. So if you're in charge of your own business, don't borrow too much and try to keep some savings in case of a problem. And this is the end, my friend. See you next time.